just in case there's someone who doesn't know who you are, can you just say who you are and what you do and your Instagram and all of that
Sure,
for for the uninitiated?
sure. So I'm Killer Bootlegs, Peter Gorel. Been making art toys for over a decade. Inspired a lot of people to do it after me, I guess. Creator of Phantom Starkiller, starting to get big, which is exciting. I don't know what else you want.
Woo!
Killer
Well,
Bootlegs, Phantom Starkiller,
I think
Draco Knuckle Duster.
what's interesting about Phantom Starkiller, and so you made the first Phantom Starkiller, the handmade version. What year did we release that?
2013.
In 2013. Wow, 7 years ago. And what was crazy about that figure, I mean, it did grab from popular culture, like it, right? What was it, a Charon head? And it had like
Yeah,
the
torso. Yeah,
and,
the whole
and,
torso.
and it had the chest plate of Vader, and it had a pop out lightsaber. So it kind of evoked Star Wars in and pop culture kind of in a very subtle way. But I think the thing that is amazing about it is how people have just gravitated towards it just solely based on the aesthetics. I mean, it's like Hello Kitty. You know, it's like, I know you're working on a story now, right? But there's no
Yeah.
Hello Kitty content. It's just like, it's this little cat, right, with no mouth, you know, and it just sells $1 billion worth of stuff because it's cute. And what's crazy is when Super 7 put out your first figure, is you taking a hit right now?
Yeah.
Jesus. Fuck. Sorry if there's any kids watching. So what's amazing is what worked on a small scale for like 25 figures in like the bootleg resin scene, it just transferred, you know, whatever, 5 years, 6 years later with the Super 7 figure. Because how many of this first Super 7 figure were there? Did they announce their numbers?
There's 1,000 of that one.
So 1,000. And how quickly did 1,000 sell out?
In like a day or a couple days, maybe.
I mean, that's right. Based on what? That's not
Yeah,
based
I don't
on. There's no comic book, right? There's no movie. There's no TV show. No video
Not
game.
yet.
No breakfast cereal. Not yet.
Not
But I'm
yet.
just saying, based on the aesthetics, and then those pop culture references that you had from kit bashing that figure have also evolved out of the figure. They're kind of like not really there in the Super 7. I mean, yeah, there is a chest plate, and yes, he is a skull, but it's not Star Wars anymore. You
Yeah,
know what I
no.
mean? So yeah. I think that you should be very proud of yourself that just like visually, you've just created something that aesthetically people latch onto. They want to own it simply because it's cool. And I think that as an artist, I think you should be very proud, because that's I don't know. That's like that. I mean, that's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah, man. I mean, like the way I think about it, it's like it's like a blessing. You know what I mean? Like to come from what, you know, the like what I came from, you know, when I was before I started like really taking my art seriously and, you know, being a recovering drug addict. You know, like I was literally on like death's door kind of. So for me to get out of that and then be able to achieve something great, I think is like you know, it's a super inspiring story, in that, you know, like anybody who's in the depths of addiction or, you know, anything like that in their life, like you can pull yourself out and do something great. You just need to, you know, do it's like a lot of hard work and just being determined that, you know, like I felt like I had something inside me that I wanted to show the world. And, you know, to be given the opportunity from you first in 2013, and then, you know, Super 7 in 2018, and all the hard work that I did throughout the years, you know, just never letting that character go. And just, you know, there's like a bunch of things that I've made over the years that it was like I just made it, and I, you know, it's like I just made it and I just moved on to the next thing. Him, I kind of always kept coming back to, and, you know, trying to develop the character and the world out more. And so yeah, I mean, now with the comic book, I'm getting the opportunity to do that, and you know, hopefully make more toys. That's like what it always comes down to for me is the ability to, you know, translate all of this into toys, because that's what really matters to me is, you know, the little plastic pieces, you know.
Right. So how many Super 7 editions have there been so far?
This one that comes out this week will be 8.
Number 8. And all 7 of the previous ones, I don't see any of them on their website. They're all sold out, right?
I assume so. I don't know. I really don't keep track.
I mean,
You
I
know?
looked at the website. I don't see any there. I don't know. That's really quite an accomplishment. So let's talk about the next step here. So you have a comic book coming out.
Yeah.
So that means you're adding another dimension. So now it's, ooh, look at that. That's the ash can right there.
Yeah.
It's available for $10, right?
Yeah, I think Schmelke has some on his SDCC store.
Nice. Go buy one now. And if you, I think I ordered a couple hundred copies, so we'll have them in the DKE store eventually too. But that'll be a little while from now. So you can go buy them from Joe right now. So the next step is kind of like the story. So you want to tell us about what the story is? Did you wrote the story?
Yeah, I wrote the whole story.
Is that something you've been formulating since the beginning, or is that something that you had to come up with recently in an effort to like just go to the next step?
Kind of both. I had like a lot established already with you know, like his backstory that was on the back of the card back, tied into the one that was on the back of Knuckle Duster's card.
Mm-hmm.
And then I released 2 more characters, and they all kind of intertwined. So I had like that, like basically like those 4 paragraphs to kind of go off of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just started kind of just working on developing it more and submersing myself in everything that I thought, you know, was cool. I mean, that's kind of how I came up with like the whole concept for the character and stuff, was just like taking George Lucas's kind of recipe for how he created his universe, you know, whether it be spaghetti westerns, Kurosawa films, World War II, all the, you know, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, all that bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
medieval stuff that George was influential to him when he was a kid. Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, all the stuff that was penetrating him as a child. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that with what was influential on me. I just, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, He-Man, you know, Disney movies, everything that like ever made an influence on me. I just was like, I'm gonna throw all this shit in a blender and kind of make something new out of it, you know, a
Mm-hmm.
pastiche of what once was, kind of in the vein of kind of like Stranger Things, you know what I mean, where it's like influenced by a certain genre and time period, but it's you know, a new story, and it takes hints and notes from things that, you know, play on nostalgia. And that's kind of what I did. And you know, so I kind of submersed myself in a lot of things that I wanted to be, you know, that are influential on me. I kind of revisited a lot of things and rewatched over and over, and kind of just started just making something new out of it. All year I've been working on it. And yeah, the script's finished. We got maybe like 2 pages left before the comic's completely finished.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And then
yeah,
how far is the story planned in your mind? Like how many, sorry, let me ask you this first. How many pages in the final comic book? How many
24.
24 24 illustrated pages. So you had 24 pages to write. Is this something that can go on forever? Like do you have the
Yeah, I have.
saga in mind? Like can it keep going?
Yeah, I've got several like things outlined. So like it could be like turned into like maybe several seasons of a show that's all outlined out already. That I kind
Nice.
of been working with a team of writers,
Very
kind
cool.
of trying to
So
build stuff out for like further, you know, using a lot of my ideas and stuff.
uh
So
so
hopefully,
uh Joe Schmalke told me, kind of gave me told me how the things were gonna, the next few issues were gonna be, and where the
you
stories
know,
were gonna be. Can you go over that? Like, because Phantom Starkiller #1 comes out, but then there's not like a #2. There's something else happens, right?
right. So like what I initially wanted to do, or initially we were talking about doing like a series and having it, you know, be ongoing. And I kind of was nervous, you know, at first, because I'm not necessarily a comic book writer, and you know, it's just a whole new world for me. So it was, I guess, less nerve-wracking for me to make a commitment to do like a one-shot comic where it's just like a one story, you know, the story finishes at the end of this book. And because if I was to be, let's say, working like on a to be continued, like this first comic, it left on like a huge cliffhanger. Like I would have to be like already scrambling to try and get that going, and then having, you know, let's say Joe or another artist working on it right now, because you don't want to have like a comic come out and then like a year from now, then we're finishing the story. And I, you know, didn't want to make
you like
a
Jeff
huge
Darrow?
commitment. Yeah, to stop like my life and have to stop my life and be like, okay, now I'm solely focused on comics, and then not have there be any expectation. Like, what if it fails? You know, like what if nobody gives a shit? Like, then am I just wasting all this time? So it was kind of like, let's build an audience based on what's already established, just that it looks cool. It's gonna be a cool story, lots of hack and slash stuff, and you know, it gives them some, you know, there's some depth to him as well that I, you know, we tried to do within the 24 pages and show some of his character and stuff as well. But then it was to where, you know, like we can just grab the audience and say, hey, we're doing this. And then a Knuckle Duster story is coming as well that we're going to start working on as soon as this one's done. So probably I'm going to be jumping into that within the next, I think we're going to take like a month off and then start on the Knuckle Duster one. And then that's going to also be like a one-shot story. And then if all is going well and I'm still happy with everything that's going on, then we're going to start doing a series, and it will be all comprised under like the Curse of the Cryptocrystalline Stone, which is what everything focuses around. It's kind of like, I guess the Black Cauldron, if I had to, you know, say what it's inspired by. It's kind of like the Black Cauldron that and I guess the Infinity Stones to some degree, which was like more of an afterthought, that there, you know, that there are these like stones that are spread throughout the galaxy that have different properties, kind of like the Infinity Stones, but that they can raise an army of the dead, and you know, that's what Phantom Starkiller is like the general of.
Very cool. Hey, Joseph, if you're in the chat, if you want to put up a link to your store where people can buy the ash can, because I know it's available now. I think there are a lot of people here that would probably want to get their hands on it. And so this ash can is the first 8 pages of the comic, right? And for those of you who don't know, who aren't comic people, an ash can is a smaller, like abridged version of a Comic-Con, but this is technically going to be the first appearance of Phantom Starkiller in a comic book. And if you know what comic collectors in the world always want, it's the first appearance. Even when it's like the character was this small in the background or whatever, it's like that's what they want. So I'm going to encourage you to go buy one. There's only 2,000 copies. There's the link now. They're $10. And Joe Schmalke did do you go by Joe? It's Joseph? Sorry if I'm calling you Joe, because
I call him Joe.
You call him Joe. Okay, good. I didn't just make that up. Phew, you know, it'd be terrible if I was calling the wrong thing. All right, so then your next figure was the Draco Knuckle Duster. Joe's all good. Okay, very good. And then
so that was a 2014 DKE San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
All right, and then the big deal about this year at Super 7 is tomorrow comes out the first Super 7 Draco Knuckle Duster figure.
Yep.
So does that mean there's going to be 10 other colorways of that I have to get?
Hopefully. I mean,
hopefully,
if the interest is there, we will keep making them. You know what I mean?
Awesome. So before, you know, maybe about an hour ago, Kalaka was on. He gave us a little tour of his collection, and it was just like, you know, wow. Everyone who was the 20 people that were on the chat were just like, just floored. Like, can we see that again? And then he had his Phantom Starkiller, you know, Shogun. Like Mazinga Z, the Shogun piece. And he said he was talking to you about doing a Kickstarter for that. Is that real? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the logistics of making something that big. No, it's not. Or who just said that? Just a Question is the head torso, the Red Wolf torso. It's obviously inspired by it, but it's not like a straight rip off of it. No, we redesigned it from like the ground up pretty much, and you'll be able to look at it and be like, yeah, I mean, it's Draco Knuckle Duster, not Red Wolf. So that's kind of the way we're going with it. But yeah, it
So,
is definitely inspired by the original figure.
so you have kids, and
Yeah.
you have a wife, and you have a life, and this is you're one of the few people I know in this scene that make a living at at this,
Yeah.
and support themselves with it, which is an achievement of itself. I can count maybe on one hand how many people have been able to achieve that, and I think there's going to be more and more of that. I think we're still in the infancy of this art form. If you think about all the other art forms that have been around, film and poetry and painting, whatever it is, like you know maybe video games are still new, right? That's only like, I don't know how many years old, 40 years old.
Yeah.
But really, the bootleg toy, the resin action figure art, we're only looking at like a little over a decade. So I think even when I look back at like what our booth looked like 10 years ago, and I see those things and I go, oh, look at that, and that sold out. People, that's kind of legendary. And so I just kind of look at this as this is all, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I just think we're still in the infancy of this. And I think my hopes is that, you know, Hollywood is just so boring right now.
Yeah.
They just keep re-releasing the same stuff. There are no new properties that are really good or inspiring. And, I hope that, that people who are looking for content and willing to take a chance on something new, start looking to these creators who are, creating awesome characters, even if they're mashing it up from, pop culture. I mean, Darth Vader was a mashup of a samurai, and
Yeah.
all the Star Wars characters are
Yeah.
mashed up, like you were saying, Flash
Yeah.
Gordon and all those other things. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, man. I think everyone in the scene is just like super proud of you.
Thank you.
You
I
know,
appreciate it.
even if they don't know you, like you have people who are just kind of like pulling for you because it's like, I don't know, it's like the little guy, and I know it's like, and then I think like Super 7, in the grand scheme of things of toy makers, is also the little guy, and we're also
Yeah.
always pulling for Super 7. And then what I see is Super 7 makes 1,000 of something or 5,000 of something. There's still very low numbers compared to like Mattel and Hasbro.
Yeah.
And then I see the stuff, like they stop making it, and then the stuff's on eBay. It's like $100 for something that was just released a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And I just think all of that. I know that they raised their price on figures to $18, and I know that there's been a lot of pushback on that. And they're trying to explain to people like, we're not making 100,000 figures here.
Yeah.
Like when you make
Right.
1,000, if you pay the artist $1,000 to draw the painting, like you've just added $1 to your cost. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like it amortizes. It's kind of it's just very expensive. And so I don't know. I think it's just I think we're, for all the crap that's going on in the world and how bad things are for so many people, and this is just a very exciting time for you, and also not only for you, but what you're doing, what that represents to all the other artists in the scene, and what the possibilities actually are. Oh, he disappeared. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man, I think it's awesome, and I hope more people follow kind of in my footsteps and do things like that. At the end of the day, I think the hardest thing to do is create original characters and have people interested in them. I could make a Larry David figure, or Kenny Powers, or some Star Wars thing till I'm blue in the face, and I could make a living off of it. I could post a picture right now of something, let's say Star Wars or pop culture related, and get, 1,000 likes, make $5,000, like in an instant, kind of. And how
Sure.
long do I want to do that? I did that for a long time, and it's just low hanging fruit to me. Putting a Star Wars head on something and being like, look what I made. It's like, yeah, I'd rather make something that is cool on its own merit and people like it
Sure.
for
I mean,
what it
there's
is, and because of the story associated to it.
absolutely.
you know, and not to say that I will never ever again make like some pop culture thing for you or for somebody else if they ask me, you know, but I've spent the last like 2020 like really being like I'm gonna focus just on my brand and just on my characters and keep just pushing harder and harder to try and make it into something. You know, I'll always be making toys and I'll always, you know, be doing, you know, handmade art and stuff. But the goal for me is eventually, you know, I'd rather be not sitting here painting action figures. I'd rather be outside kicking a soccer ball with my kids or playing with the dogs or something. And, you know, kind of, you know, doing the comic and then hopefully, you know, a cartoon or a movie or something down the road or a video game or something, you know, will give me the opportunity to just build it out wider and be able to kind of step back more and more and be using everything I've done up until this point as like a style guide for companies to use and say, this is what the aesthetic of Peter's work is. This is the feel and the vibe of everything. And, you know, to where I, you know, just collecting kind of checks from the mailbox and, you know, putting check marks on designs and stuff.
Passive income is always the best. You know, the money that you can just sit on a couch and just have royalties come in. That's everybody's dream.
Yeah.
Super 7 just kills collectors outside USA on shipping. You know.
Yeah, you know, that was one thing I wish that we could figure out is because I do have a lot of international fans that just can't get their hands on the figures.
It's true, but to who commented here, Marco? I mean, Marco, it's more expensive right now, but it's expensive in general. I'm able to look at the statistics on the Shopify store, and you know, I think if you're in California, the way we pack it, you know, one of these guys to get to someone. The problem is this is a low price figure at $30 for what we're carrying, but shipping in California is $10. And I looked at how many abandoned checkouts there were. And there's probably like 50 abandoned checkouts, right? Because the shipping, even inside California, for a priority mail package, you know, once you go 1 ounce over a certain weight, just to get it there in one piece is expensive. So it's not only Super 7, the shipping prices have gone up. And what I noticed all the shipping companies do, every time there's an oil crisis, they add an oil surcharge, and then after oil goes down, now that it is like $- per barrel or whatever, they keep the price the same. It's crazy. Just offer holds and ship once a month. You think, yes, we do that, and we do that quite often for people overseas. If they ask us to hold stuff, we do that, and that's why our system right now only charges $1 for shipping, just as kind of a placeholder. Let's see, independent toy, Matt says, independent toy making is equivalent of independent film, and the makers are being recognized by the big name studios. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Carl, for me, I don't mind paying $17.99 for Super 7. Quality is amazing. And Funko was involved with them. They were cheap. Yeah. I have a bunch of those, and I look at them and just the sculpts, and even Brian would would complain about the sculpts. Like, you know, some of those Terminator figures are like, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sarah Bootleg Queen says, let's see the mask collection before you guys are done.
All right, I just got to figure out how to turn my camera the other way, but I will.
Do you want to do that now, or we'll do that at the end?
Hold on.
Terminator Buffy was
awful. We can do that. I mean, we can do it now if she wants.
Let's see.
All right, let me turn on some lights. I'll just show a lot of stuff, actually. I've got quite a bit of cool shit down here.
It looks like you live in a dungeon.
It's just my basement. This is my basement.
Whoa. This is what you do in your basement all alone. Does this freak your kids out, or do they think this is cool?
No, they love this shit, man. I mean, I took one of the lights in the other room, but
we forgive you.
Yeah, there's a shitload of masks. Here's some Starkiller stuff.
Someone is asking do you have a Draco in the package there from Super 7 you can show? Are you allowed to show it?
Yeah, I do. Hold on, let me head back into that other room.
Ooh, sneak peek, everybody.
Here's some other stuff.
Do not do a screen grab, anybody.
Yeah, don't do that.
Not okay.
There's a something that some people might like. A letter from HBO.
Is that real?
Yeah.
That was for Kenny Powers?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, look at that. Wow. No one is screen grabbing right now, okay? Do not
I
screen
don't
grab.
care what you do. I've actually shown so many people, man.
Yeah, the figure, but the package is pretty cool. Yeah, that's good. Wow. We're so excited.
I don't know why it won't. There it goes.
Wow. I'm gonna have to collect another dozen of those. Thanks a lot. And then
His
are we
sword glows in the dark, which is pretty dope.
Are we gonna get the Phantom Starkiller carrying case too?
Eventually. Yeah, we're talking. That's something that we were actually discussing for next San Diego.
Now you discussed with me something. I'm not sure if you're allowed to talk about it, about the bigger piece with Super 7. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it. So
I thought it was just so like next level amazing. So go.
So we're kind of trying to think about other things to do and just, you know, use some of the things that they've I guess gotten their like mold library, I guess you could say, like the tooling and stuff that is real non-descriptive kind of stuff you could use and we could get away with. Like so one thing was that we thought of was like a play set, and that would be utilizing like the Planet of the Apes base that they had, that's just like a rocky base. And yeah, so we're working on something that's gonna be like a play set basically, and I get to design like the you know, the background and stuff, the cardboard background. Wow. And it'll come with a figure. Kind of figure it out now whether to do one figure, two figures, which figure, what colorway, what's just different things like that, you know. So we're just all throwing out ideas right now, and kind of we'll see which one sticks. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, we've been talking about it, so hopefully I don't just jinx it.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to do a little plug here. So this is our, we had a series of original paintings with action figures that we did with Lou Pimentel called Vintage Gold. And they were expensive. They were $150, which was inexpensive for what they were in original painting, but still expensive to sell at a convention. So we started a series called Bootleg Gold. This is signed by Lou and Peter here. And it's an edition of 200, and Lou did an original watercolor, which we printed, and then we sort of bootlegged the bootleg. And so these are available on our website at DKEToys.com. Go hit the store button. They're $30 each. And there is a complimentary suckler piece that we won't go into too much detail. What else? Do we have anything else, Killer Bootlegs? I think, can you look up the Killer Cola?
Yeah, you should have like the puke regurgitated ideas, the Killer Cola.
I think
there's a couple on the back wall too.
Do we?
Master of Suspense.
So the Killer Cola, I think we have like, I don't know, 3, 4 in stock. So if anyone wants one, but we normally do 2 in stock, and they're $55. So, all right, Peter. Well, thank you so much for checking in with us and spending the time.
That's it, man. Only 30 minutes.
Oh man, you have more to say?
I don't know. Let's see. I'll have these to say on someone. I don't know what we're gonna do with them.
Let's go. What is that?
We'll have these. That's a Knuckle Duster vinyl figure.
Nice.
And then here's another colored one that has not been released yet, kind of like a prototype blue kind of look. We got this sucker.
I can't see.
That's coming soon. The sparkly Maba Starkiller.
For me to see well, I have to, like, everyone's got to look really close.
What else? We got this bad boy coming out this weekend.
Oh, nice. And then the art on that one, that's who did the art on that card?
Felipe Flores.
Felipe Flores, nice.
Yeah, I posted it a couple times online, just not in color. Oh shit, oh well, fuck it. Who cares? I was kind of keeping the colorway secret so that nobody knew what it was.
I think we barely saw it, so.
Yeah, so I looked to see who is all watching, so.
He just took a snapshot of everyone on the chat, so if it gets out there, he's gonna come to your house.
No, I don't care, man. I love everybody who loves my stuff, man. Like anybody who shows me love, like, you know, I honestly do all this shit for you guys, you know, like everything I do is for the fans. It's not, you know, I mean, it's some self, you know, thing that I'm doing, you know, it makes me feel good, obviously, but like doing it for everybody is what it's all about. And if I can keep making this shit bigger, I'm going to keep going. You know what I mean? As long as somebody's going to let me have the chance, I'm going to fucking take it. I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to make everybody proud. Everybody in the scene that's been watching me do this shit. Like I said, I'm doing it for you guys. And hopefully we can make something fucking rock and roll with it, you know?
Someone's asking where the vinyls will be sold.
Okay, so the blue one is gonna be sold through Gallery F. Whenever they show up, I shipped them like a week ago, and they somehow got lost in the mail. So hopefully, I hope that 50 vinyl figures aren't lost somewhere, but we'll see. The yellow ones I'm gonna be selling. I might do some mixed part ones because I've got some other ones around that I might do first. The MABA ones will be through me. And we're doing a knuckle duster one that I shared online, the sculpt of that Brian Hoskins did.
The knuckle duster vinyl though, is that's made in China or is that made in Japan?
That one's made in China. Awesome Toys actually makes those for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah,
Sorry.
Awesome Toys makes good toys. You know, he's I think one of the best in the game at what he's been doing, and I had my molds transferred over to him because we've been friends and, you know, gotten, you know, kind of have the same vision and stuff. So yeah, and then Squibbles Inc. makes the other ones, and we've got some cool things planned too. Hopefully we're trying to figure out the Shogun thing together, me and Squibbles Inc.
Nice, but doesn't Super 7 like have the factory that makes the blow molded stuff?
Yeah, they do, but you know, Brian told me that it's like the most expensive thing that they make. And, you know, unless we did it like pre-order, and then if it did, like, it'd be a kind of like a Kickstarter thing where if it did well, it did well. If not, we couldn't make it. So I don't know. I'm just trying to see what the deal, if I can get them made. I'm just, you know, going down every avenue I can to see if I can get it made. So
because
yeah,
that's you know, the minimum order is probably a lot. Like you probably have to make
from
like
them,
1,000.
yeah. Through them, yeah. Squibbles Inc. we could do more of a, you know, lower run type thing.
Now, Matthias said that you might make a smaller version. You might shrink it down.
I mean, we've talked about that. You know, it's all whether if I could do a 24-inch one and not have it have all the. See, that's the thing though. Like, I don't want to make. I could make it, and we could do a resin version. We could do a blank vinyl version, or all these different things. But if I do it, I want to do it right, and I want it to look exactly like the one that he made. I want it to come in a fucking nice ass box. I want it to be like a real legit thing, you know. And I don't see what the point of doing it would be if we didn't do it right. You know, I've kind of always had that mentality. It's like, you know, why do it if you're not going to do it right and put your best foot forward and everything? So, you know, that's kind of one of those things. Me and another dude, Aztec Gorilla, I saw him in the chat. We're working on a ton of stuff together too that kind of we're going to start rolling out here soon. And we've talked about doing the Shogun as well. And it's just a matter of who's I'm going to do it with and what's the most cost effective way to do it to bring it to the people for the cheapest price, the dopest toy. That's, you know, that's what it boils down to. I want to make the dopest stuff and have it be the cheapest for people to be able to affordably buy it, because I know what it's like. You know, I'm a fucking dude in Rockford, Illinois, middle class guy. I know what it's like, you know, to have bills and want cool stuff and be able to buy cool stuff, and being able to buy a $500 toy isn't just feasible for everybody. Sure. You know, so if I can make something and have it be, you know, affordable, that's the key, you know, really with that Shogun, and have it be the dopest thing possible.
Let me ask you a personal question. So before you were just gainfully employed as an artist, you know, self-supporting, what kind of jobs did you have before?
I just worked in factories, man. Like, I mean, I don't have any like college education at all.
What did you make? What kind of factories?
They made hydraulic line for like John Deere tractors and shit. So like the big long, like the metal pipes that bring hydraulic fluid to machines, and that you have to bend them all types of different ways to fit around in the engine compartments and shit. So just I started like literally at like the entry level there. Just I needed a job and went and was doing like literally entry level work, just running a saw and cutting these pipes, and then they'd go to other stages and get bent and finished and all these different. And I worked there and just kept working my way up. And within like 2 or 3 years, I was one of the supervisor of that department. And yeah, Scott Cherry asked, it was a toy factory. It was the Nyland factory in Rockford. But it had been changed into this factory that made hydraulic line. But yeah, it was the Nyland factory, like Nyland Toys, that made action figures and cars. Right here's the sign from the bathroom that I stole the day I quit. So that was in the Nyland Toy Factory, like in the bathroom, or in the break room, or in the bathroom.
Can you read it?
Sorry, restroom closed from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Please use restroom in south end of plant.
Nice. So let me ask you a question. When you had that job, did you hate it? Did you hate going to work every day?
Yeah, I mean, I was making toys too, and I had a young daughter who I was real young, and I just had my son, so I've been doing toys full time. He's gonna be 9 this year, so like 8 years I've been doing this as my job, and he was a baby, and I had gone to so I worked up to be like a supervisor of that department, the cutting department, and I was just. It was boring as shit. Like when I would go to work initially, I was, you're working and you're doing stuff all day so that your mind's moving and the time goes on. As I got further and further up in the I guess the positions, I just wasn't doing anything. I was just handing out paperwork and like kind of checking, every 100 pieces for quality and shit like that. So it was real boring. And I went to go work. The thing that really did it is I went. They asked me to go start the third shift. They were like, we want to start a third shift. We'll make you in charge of the whole thing. So I went and started like a third shift, and I was like the third shift manager, and I fucking hated it. And I thought it would be like I would get off work and I could make toys all day, and then I could sleep and then go to work. It just did not work out. And they said that they would let me go. Like I had to go start it, and after 3 months I could go back to my first shift. And then 3 months came up and they wouldn't let me go back, and they wanted me to stay. And it came to a point where I was like, I think I did it might have been like the Frankenfett release or something like that. This is like 2012 or something. Yeah, 2012. And I did like a release of like 50 figures, and they were like $50 or something. And they all sold out while I was there. Like or maybe I was getting ready for work or something. And I was like, this is nuts. Like I was maybe making like $500 a week or something like that at the job. Maybe more. I don't remember what I was making, but it wasn't that much. It was like just barely over minimum wage. And
so you're pretty open about your past and drug abuse. Like when where is the timeline of that time when you were using? Was that before that factory job? Or
yeah, it was like in my early 20s, like before my kids were born.
And is it something that is still plaguing you? Like is there still a desire there that you have to like demons that you have to fight, or is that gone?
Not at all. No, I've been sober for like 10 plus years. I don't go to meetings or do anything like that.
Except for when you hit your weed pipe.
I mean, I smoke weed, but it was heroin was my issue. You know what I mean? So,
nice.
And I just fell into that whole pill epidemic that happened, in the early 2000s, with Oxycontin and everything. I was like at the start of that. And thank God.
Did it happen? Did you get it from a doctor at first?
No,
no, someone's just like, hey, try this.
Yeah, and then eventually you can't get them anymore. It's just like that pretty much story that happens to everybody that has addicted to heroin.
Scott says it's called Hollywood sober.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I really appreciate it. Now I do have to let you go. Gotta take care of a little business here and get ready for our next interview. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're all so proud of you. Congratulations.
Thanks, mans.
I appreciate it, guys. You're really killing it.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, y'all.
I made
appreciate
everyone
it,
smile
everybody.
here. I don't know what everybody else. All right.
Yeah.
Take care, dude.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
again. We'll talk to you soon.
See you tomorrow. Thanks, Aaron. Bye.
The amazing Killer Bootlegs. So inspiring.